Have you ever walked into your own home, looked around, and felt tired before you even sat down, without knowing why? Not because it's dirty, not because it's cluttered. Everything looks fine, yet something feels heavy. Many homes slowly drain energy without showing obvious signs, and over time that quiet weight can affect how we rest, think, and even enjoy our days. Today isn't about doing more, fixing everything, or chasing perfection. It's about gentle relief. This is designed for older adults who want their homes to feel calmer and kinder, at a pace that respects where you are in life. Let me tell you about Margaret. She's 67, a retired school teacher. Thoughtful, capable, and organised enough by most standards. Her home looks settled, lived in, and familiar. Yet she often feels worn out in her own space and can't quite explain why. Margaret isn't careless or behind. She's lived a full life, and her home reflects that history. What she didn't realise is that some ordinary items were quietly pulling on her energy every single day. Her experience isn't a personal failure. It's a shared moment many people reach in this season of life. In a moment, we're going to count down 13 toxic things that may be hiding in your home. We'll start at number 13 and work our way down to number 1, the one almost everyone keeps, and the one that quietly affects health, energy, and peace the most. This isn't a checklist or a race. You don't need to handle all 13. Even noticing one can begin to change how your home feels and how you feel living in it. Before we continue, if this already feels familiar, take a second to support this message. Liking and subscribing helps more seniors find content made with care and understanding. And if you see the hype button on your app, using it helps lift senior voices so this kind of conversation reaches the people who need it most. And tell me in the comments, have you ever felt more tired at home than you expected, even when everything looked fine? Item 13. Items kept just in case. Margaret never thought of these as clutter. To her, they were safety nets. Extra cords, old containers, half-working appliances, clothes she hadn't worn in years but felt uneasy letting go of. They sat quietly in closets and corners, kept for just in case. But over time, she noticed something uncomfortable. These items weren't protecting her. They were quietly keeping her on edge. That's why items kept just in case are toxic. Not because they're dirty or broken, but because they're rooted in fear instead of need. Fear of running out, fear of regret, fear of being unprepared. Each one holds a small message in the background. Something might go wrong. And when your home keeps repeating that message, even silently, it drains your sense of ease. Margaret realized she wasn't storing useful things. She was storing anxiety. Many of these items hadn't been touched in years, yet they demanded space, attention, and mental energy. When she finally chose a few to let go, not everything, just a few, she felt an unexpected shift. The room felt calmer. Her breathing slowed. The home felt more like a place to rest, not brace herself. If you want something practical to try today, choose one just-in-case item and ask, if I truly needed this tomorrow, would I even think to look for it? If the answer is no, that item may be costing you peace without giving anything back. And keep this in mind, this is only item number 13, the least obvious one. The items ahead affect daily life even more. Item 12. The overstuffed junk drawer. Margaret had more than one, but there was always one drawer she avoided. It didn't look dangerous, it wasn't dirty. Yet every time she opened it, her mind felt instantly crowded. Loose batteries, tangled cords, old keys with no locks, mystery parts she no longer recognized. Nothing in the drawer was urgent, but everything in it was unfinished. And that's what made it toxic. An overstuffed junk drawer creates visual chaos, and visual chaos turns into mental noise. Your brain reads it as a list of decisions you never made. Fix this, sort that. Figure this out later. Even when the drawer is closed, your mind remembers it's there. It quietly drains focus and adds tension you don't consciously notice, until it's gone. Margaret didn't try to organize the drawer perfectly. She didn't buy containers or labels. She simply emptied it onto the table and asked one honest question at a time. Do I know what this is, and would I use it in the next year? Many items failed that test. What surprised her wasn't how much she discarded, but how quickly she felt lighter. When she slid the drawer back in, it moved smoothly. No resistance, no noise. And something inside her felt the same way. If you want to try this today, don't tackle every drawer. Choose one. Set a short timer. Keep only what you recognize and would actually use. Let the rest go without explanation. You don't owe broken bits and forgotten pieces a future. And remember, this is only item number 12. Number 11 isn't about clutter you can see. It's about what your heart feels when you see it. Item 11. Memorabilia that carries sadness. Some items don't take up much physical space, yet they weigh heavily on the heart. Margaret had a small box like this tucked away on a shelf. Inside were photographs, letters and keepsakes connected to moments she rarely spoke about. She told herself she was honoring the past by keeping them. But each time she opened that box, the same ache returned. The memories didn't feel warm or comforting. They felt unfinished. That's why memorabilia that carries sadness can be toxic. There is a quiet but important difference between honoring memories and reliving pain. Honoring allows you to remember with softness. Reliving pulls you back into emotions your body has already worked hard to survive. When items repeatedly reopen old wounds, they keep the nervous system stuck in yesterday instead of grounded in today. Margaret realized she didn't need to erase her history to protect her peace. She chose one item that truly represented love and meaning, something that brought a gentle smile instead of a tight chest. The rest she released, not in anger or denial, but with respect. Letting go didn't make the memories disappear. It changed how often they demanded her emotional energy. If you're facing something similar, you don't need to rush. Take one item and notice how your body responds. Calm is a sign of honoring. Heaviness is a sign of harm. Your feelings are a form of guidance. If this resonates with you, share it in the comments. You're not alone in this, and your story might help someone else feel understood. Item 10. Hobby supplies for interests you've outgrown. Margaret noticed them every time she walked past the spare room. Boxes of supplies for hobbies she once loved, yarn from knitting projects never finished, paints that had dried out, craft kits still sealed. None of it was messy, yet it quietly made her feel behind. Each half-finished project carried an unspoken message. You should be doing more. That's why hobby supplies for interests you've outgrown can become toxic. They create pressure to stay productive even when your curiosity, energy or priorities have shifted. Instead of reminding you of joy, they turn into reminders of expectations you may no longer want or need to meet. Over time, that pressure chips away at peace and turns creative spaces into places of guilt. What Margaret realized is that hobbies have seasons, just like life. Some are meant to accompany us for a while, not forever. Outgrowing an interest doesn't mean you failed or gave up. It means you grew. When she let go of supplies tied to past versions of herself, she wasn't closing a door. She was freeing space for rest, curiosity, or something new to enter naturally. If you want a gentle way to approach this, choose one project and ask yourself, if I didn't already own this, would I choose it again today? If the answer is no, you've learned something important. Thank it for what it gave you, then let it go. We've now entered the top 10. From here on, these items affect daily comfort and emotional energy even more than you might expect. Item 9. Old magazines and someday. Reading. Margaret had neat stacks everywhere. By the chair, on a side table, in a basket she passed every morning. Magazines, newspapers, printouts, articles she meant to read when things slowed down. She told herself they were relaxing, even inspiring. Yet every time she saw them, a small feeling followed her. Not today. Maybe later. That's why old magazines and someday reading can become toxic items. They quietly attach guilt to time. They turn rest into obligation. Instead of offering enjoyment, they sit there reminding you of something you didn't get around to. Over time, that unfinished intention drains energy. Your eyes see the stack, and your mind hears a soft accusation. You should have done this already. Margaret finally admitted something out loud that surprised her. She almost never reread them. Not because she was lazy, but because life had moved on. Her interests had changed. Her energy had changed. And that was okay. The stacks weren't waiting patiently. They were demanding attention she didn't want to give. When she let them go, there was an unexpected lightness. The chair felt more inviting. The room felt calmer. Reading became something she chose again, without pressure, without backlog. If you're dealing with this, try one simple step. Pick just one stack and keep only what you genuinely want to read this week. Let the rest go without apology. Information served its purpose the moment you encountered it. From here on, the toxic items we're counting down don't just sit quietly. They begin to affect daily energy in ways most people never connect to their homes. Item 8. Damaged or scratched food containers. Margaret didn't think twice about them at first. They were tucked neatly into a cabinet, stacked one inside another, lids balanced on top. Some were cloudy, some were scratched. A few didn't even have matching lids anymore. She kept them because they were still usable. At least, that's what she told herself. But every time she opened that cabinet, she hesitated. Which lid fits? Is this one still safe? The small pauses added up. That's why damaged or scratched food containers are toxic items. They carry real health concerns, especially as materials wear down over time, but they also create quiet clutter. Mismatched lids turn simple tasks into tiny frustrations. Instead of smoothly packing leftovers, you're searching, testing, stacking, restacking. It's a subtle drain, but it happens day after day. Margaret decided to change one small thing. She didn't replace everything at once. She simply removed the containers that were cracked, deeply scratched, or missing lids. What surprised her wasn't how much she got rid of, but how easy the cabinet became to use. Fewer containers meant clearer choices. Safer ones meant peace of mind. Cooking felt simpler, not like a puzzle she had to solve every time. If you want to try this yourself, take out all your containers and match lids first. Anything that doesn't pair up or feels worn beyond comfort doesn't deserve space in your kitchen. Keeping fewer, safer containers actually gives you more ease, not less. Remember, this is only item number 8. As we continue counting down, the items ahead affect daily comfort and well-being even more than you might expect. Item 7. Expired food and unused pantry stock. Margaret used to feel a small wave of tension every time she opened her pantry. Rows of cans, boxes pushed to the back, items bought with good intentions but never used. Some were expired. Others were still fine, she told herself, even though she couldn't remember the last time she reached for them. Choosing what to eat shouldn't feel complicated, yet it often did. That's why expired food and unused pantry stock are toxic items. They create decision fatigue. Too many options, too many questions. Is this still good? Should I use this first? What if I need it later? Each choice pulls at mental energy before the day has even started. Over time, meals stop feeling nourishing and start feeling stressful. For many people, this ties back to earlier seasons of life. Times when food felt uncertain or waste felt wrong. Margaret recognized that part of her was still preparing for scarcity, even though her life had changed. Letting go didn't mean she was being careless. It meant she was allowing herself to live in the present, not in old fears. She started slowly. One shelf. She checked dates honestly, released what she knew she wouldn't use, and kept only what fit how she eats now. There was no rush, no guilt. When she stepped back, the pantry felt calmer. Cooking felt easier. Confidence replaced worry. If you want something practical, choose one section of your pantry and ask, would I actually cook this in the next month? If not, it's okay to let it go. Food is meant to support life, not complicate it. We've reached the halfway point. Take a breath here. Before we continue, pause for a moment. If this countdown has already stirred memories or quiet realizations, you're not alone. Many of these items carry stories, not just labels. Supporting this video helps these conversations reach others who need them just as much. And stay with me, because the top 6 are the ones most people never suspect, yet they quietly affect everyday comfort in powerful ways. Item 6. Guilt-based gifts. Margaret spotted it the moment she walked into the room. A decorative item placed where it didn't belong, kept not because she enjoyed it, but because someone important had given it to her. Over the years, it had become part of the background, noticed but never appreciated, and every time she saw it, she felt a quiet obligation instead of warmth. That's why guilt-based gifts are toxic items. They ask you to carry responsibility without joy. The object itself isn't the problem. The emotional weight attached to it is. Keeping something purely out of obligation turns your home into a storage space for unspoken expectations. Instead of feeling thankful, you feel stuck. Margaret realized something freeing. Gratitude doesn't require storage. The appreciation she felt at the moment she received the gift had already happened. The memory of the person, the gesture, the kindness, none of that lived inside the object. When she finally chose to let it go, she didn't feel ungrateful. She felt honest, and surprisingly, lighter. If you're unsure where to start, try this. Look at one gift you've kept but never loved. Ask yourself, if no one would ever know what I did with this, would I still keep it? Your answer tells you everything. Letting go doesn't erase relationships. It creates space for the ones that truly nourish you. If this resonates, share it in the comments. Many people carry guilt quietly, and your voice might help someone else feel permission to choose peace. Item 5. Old cleaning chemicals. Margaret noticed it one afternoon while wiping the kitchen counter. The sharp smell lingered in the air longer than she liked. Her chest felt tight, her eyes irritated, and she had to open a window, even though it wasn't cold. She looked under the sink and realized how many bottles she'd collected over the years. Sprays for every surface. Products she'd bought once and never questioned again. That's why old cleaning chemicals are toxic items. Many of them are harsh, outdated, or far stronger than necessary, and repeated exposure can quietly affect breathing, skin, and overall comfort, especially over time. The irony is hard to ignore. Products meant to make a home clean can slowly make the body feel worse inside it. Margaret also realized something else. The number of products made cleaning feel complicated. Which one for this surface? Which one works best? The clutter under the sink added mental strain to a task that should have been simple. Cleaning wasn't refreshing anymore. It was something she rushed through just to be done. She decided to change her approach. Instead of replacing everything, she reduced. She kept only a few gentler products that covered most needs and felt safer to use. The cabinet became easier to open. The air felt lighter. Cleaning took less time and left her feeling calm instead of irritated. If you want to try this, start by checking what you actually use. Anything that smells overpowering, irritates your skin, or hasn't been touched in years deserves a second look. A clean home should support your health, not challenge it. Item 5 may seem practical, but the items ahead affect comfort and energy on an even more personal level. Item 4. Stacks of old paperwork. Margaret knew exactly where it was. A drawer she rarely opened. A folder pushed to the back of a cabinet. Papers she meant to sort one day. Bills from years ago, instruction manuals for things she no longer owned. Forms that no longer applied to her life. She didn't see them often, but she felt them. Every time she passed that drawer, there was a quiet sense of avoidance. That's why stacks of old paperwork are toxic items. They carry mental load. Each paper represents a decision not yet made. Keep, shred, file, understand. Even when hidden, the mind remembers they exist. That background stress builds over time, turning small tasks into something heavy and draining. Margaret finally chose to face one small stack, not the whole pile. She asked a simple question. Does this matter to my life right now? Not someday, not years ago. Now. Anything outdated, duplicated, or irrelevant went. What remained fit into a single folder she could actually manage. For the first time, that drawer opened without tension. The clarity surprised her. It wasn't just about order, it was about relief. She realized she didn't need to carry proof of everything she had ever done or owned. Her life had moved forward, and her paperwork needed to reflect that. If you want a starting point, choose just one unopened drawer or folder. Set a short time limit. Keep only what protects, informs, or supports your current life. Let the rest go without explanation. This is one of the final few. From here on, the items we're counting down affect how you see yourself, not just your space. Item 3. Broken items you mean to fix. Margaret could list them without even looking. A lamp that flickered if touched just right. A chair with a loose leg. A small appliance she'd set aside for repair months ago. None of these items were urgent, yet they quietly followed her from room to room in her thoughts. Every time she noticed them, she told herself, "I'll get to that." And every time a small weight settled in her chest. That's why broken items you mean to fix are toxic. They act as constant mental reminders of unfinished business. Each one carries unfinished energy, small signals that something is incomplete, waiting, unresolved. Over time, those signals stack up, and your home begins to feel like a list of tasks rather than a place of rest. Margaret realized that postponement was costing her more than release. Some items had been broken longer than they'd ever been useful. Keeping them wasn't practical anymore. It was habit. When she finally chose to let a few go instead of promising herself she'd fix them, she felt something unexpected. Relief. The rooms felt quieter. Her mind felt less crowded. If you're unsure what to do, ask one honest question. If this were already fixed today, would it still earn a place in my home? If the answer is no, you have your clarity. Letting go isn't giving up, it's choosing peace over pressure. We're very close now. The top 2 items are deeply personal, and they touch how we see ourselves every day. Item 2. Clothes that no longer fit body or life. Margaret paused in front of the closet one morning and noticed how her eyes went to the same section every time. Clothes she hadn't worn in years. Some were too small, some no longer suited her days, yet they stayed. Each hanger carried a quiet comparison between who she was and who she used to be. She didn't speak it aloud, but the message was there each morning, not quite right. That's why clothes that no longer fit your body or your life are toxic items. They create daily self-judgment without saying a word. A closet should support you, not challenge your confidence. When clothing reflects an old season, it keeps you measuring yourself against the past instead of standing comfortably in the present. Margaret had an honest moment in the mirror. Not one filled with criticism, but clarity. Her body had carried her through decades of living, working, caring, and adapting. It deserved comfort and respect, not pressure. She chose to keep clothes that felt good now, that matched her routines, her energy, her reality. The rest she released quietly, without drama or apology. The relief came softly. Getting dressed became easier. Mornings felt calmer. There was dignity in choosing clothes that fit the life she was actually living. If you want to try this, pick one item and ask, does this support me today? If it doesn't belong in tomorrow. You're not letting go of yourself, you're honouring who you are now. Only one item remains, and this final one affects health and safety more than most people ever realise. Item 1. Expired medications and supplements. Margaret didn't expect this one to be the hardest. The bottles were small, neatly lined up, familiar. Some had been with her for years, moved from house to house, cabinet to cabinet. She trusted them because they were once prescribed, once helpful, once necessary. But when she finally checked the dates, she felt a quiet jolt. Some were long expired. Others she no longer remembered why she was taking. That's why expired medications and supplements are toxic items. They create a false sense of safety. They look official. They feel reliable. Yet over time they can lose effectiveness, interact poorly, or no longer match what your body needs now. Holding on to them is a way of trusting the past to take care of the present, and that can be risky. Margaret realized her health had changed, her routines had changed, and her body deserved care that matched who she is today. Clearing out those bottles wasn't frightening. It was grounding. She kept only what was current, clearly labelled and truly needed. The cabinet looked simpler, but more importantly, it felt safer. If you do one thing after this video, make it this. Take 5 minutes to check your medicine cabinet. Look at dates. Look at names. If something no longer belongs to your present care, let it go properly and responsibly. Your home should protect you, not quietly put you at risk. This was number one for a reason. Small items can carry big consequences, and choosing clarity here is an act of self-respect. Margaret didn't empty her house. She didn't chase perfection or follow a strict system. What she did was quieter and more powerful. She removed the few items that were quietly working against her comfort, her clarity, and her peace. With each small decision, her home began to feel less demanding and more supportive. Not because there was less in it, but because what remained finally matched the life she's living now. The most important takeaway from this journey is simple. You don't need to change everything to feel a difference. One item can shift the energy of a room. One clear drawer can ease the mind. One honest choice can turn your home back into a place of rest. Progress doesn't come from doing it all, it comes from doing what matters. As you go about your day, choose just one item. Not the hardest one, not the most emotional one. Just one small thing that you now recognize as toxic to your peace. Letting it go is not a loss. It's a quiet act of self-respect. If this video helped you see your home differently, support this channel by liking and subscribing so more people can find content made with care for this season of life. And if your app shows the hype button, here's how you can use it to help this message reach others. Scroll down on the video, swipe left on the comment preview until you see hype, tap it, choose how many points you want to give, and confirm. You get 3 free hypes each week, and every hype helps push this video so more seniors can discover it. Frequent supporters can even earn a Hype Star badge. Before you go, leave a comment about the one item you're choosing today. Your story matters. And remember, your home doesn't need to hold everything you've ever been. It only needs to hold you, gently, right now.